What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with the final this week at Bungie before the launch of Lightfall. And so today they talk about the upcoming launch trailer for the expansion, but additionally they talk about Crucible, some plans for competitive, new modifiers that will adjust how exotic armor works, and a couple of other things, and then they speak about the new artifact for Season 20, and we do get a preview of the perks that we'll be able to unlock, all of the mods and what they'll do, plus Bungie talk about the legendary campaign for Lightfall, making Witch Queen free up until Lightfall's launch, and a couple of other things which we'll break down in the video. So, as always guys, I hope you enjoy this one, but without further delay, let's get into it. And initially, of course, there will be the Destiny 2 Lightfall launch trailer. This is going to be dropping today, and will actually be revealed during the PlayStation State of Play broadcast. That begins at 2 PM PST, which is 10 PM in the UK, and at some point during that show, we'll get a look at the trailer, so be sure to stay posted for that, and I'll link the twab below with the link for State of Play in it as well. Next though, Bungie say we know you're waiting for more news regarding the Crucible, and next week the competitive division freelance node is going away, as we believe Fireteam matchmaking is solving the problem it was originally intended to solve. But they do have some changes planned for quality of life, and so initially there are placement changes, and you can now place in Platinum Division after your initial placement series matches if you were Adept or Ascendant in a previous season. They also say, while we understand that not everyone loves Rift or Showdown, we believe that those two modes stress Crucible players in different ways and important ways. But they are lowering how common Rift and Showdown are in the playlist. And while RNG can still give any sequence of maps and modes, we expect Survival to show up roughly 2/3 of the time, and Rift and Showdown to split in the other third. They've also adjusted individual map weightings for Showdown to eliminate maps the mode does not play well on, and they say they've increased the weight of Javelin 4, Endless Veil, and Altar of Flame in Competitive Division, and removed Disjunction and Cathedral of Dusk from the rotation entirely. They also point out that as of the start of Season 20, we'll be able to gild the Glorious title by reaching the Adept Division. But they go on to say that exotic armor pieces are just as critical to your PvP build as your weapons or subclass, and they say with the prevalence of build swapping that can happen with loadouts, they plan to squash the issue in high-end PvP. So in Season 20, they're introducing the Not Swap modifier to Trials and Competitive Division. And in activities with Not Swap, if you change your exotic armor during the match, all of your ability energy is removed, just as though you swapped your subclass. They say they will be monitoring gameplay and discussion around the issue, and they're not currently planning to add it to Gambit or other Crucible playlists. But I think it'll certainly be an interesting change, and one that players will have mixed feelings about, so give us your thoughts below. Next though, they give us a preview of the upcoming artifact for Season of Defiance. And so in column 1, we'll get anti-barrier sidearms, and on top of the anti-barrier functionality, they say sidearms are always overcharged when the modifier is active, and we discussed that new system of kind of modifiers the other day, so I'll link a video below that has more details about that. But we'll also see anti-barrier pulse rifle, as well as overload bows, unstoppable scout rifle, and automatics overload, where sustained fire from autos and submachine guns will disrupt combatants. Column 2 will see authorized mods Solar, and the armor energy costs of all armor mods affecting your solar weapons are significantly discounted. There'll also be one for Strand, Void, and then one that focuses specifically on grenades, as well as multi-siphon mods, and the armor energy costs of all armor mods affecting grenades are significantly discounted. Then for column 3, we'll get Shatter Orbs, and the first time you break a combatant's shield, you create an orb of power if you break the shield with a matching damage type. Additionally, there'll be Defiant Armory, and this greatly improves the benefits provided by Noble Deeds, Nanotech Tracer Rockets, Text Balance Stock, and Ambush Origin traits. So Noble Deeds and Nanotech Tracer Rockets are a couple of new Origin traits. But there's a mod called Untangler, and destroying a tangle with a strand weapon suspends targets damaged by the explosion. And then we have Solar Surge, and collecting a fire sprite gives you an armor charge. As well as Volatile Flow, where picking up an orb of power grants your void weapons volatile rounds. Column 4 will see Bricks from Beyond, and defeating a powerful combatant with a void weapon has a chance to generate heavy ammo for you and your teammates. There'll also be Flare Up, and Firebolt grenades apply more Scorch stacks, but damaging a combatant with a Firebolt grenade spawns a fire sprite near them. Then there's Origin Owns, and weapons with Noble Deeds, Nanotracing Rockets, Text Balance Stock, and Ambush Origin traits are always overcharged when the modifier is active. Plus, Allied Unraveling, where rapid final blows with a strand weapon grant your weapons unraveling rounds with a longer duration near allies. Then finally for column 4, there is Counterweave, and when you or a member of your fire team stuns or defeats a champion, you gain energy for your least charged strand ability. Finally, for column 5 though, there is Stranded Reach, and destroying a tangle with a strand weapon creates a larger and more damaging explosion. Additionally, we have Rain of Firebolts, and when you have a fireball grenade equipped, you gain a second grenade charge. Plus there's Void Weapons Channeling, and you gain a temporary bonus to Void Weapon damage after you defeat a target with a Void Weapon, while at least one of your Void abilities is fully charged. And this damage bonus increases based on the number of fully charged Void abilities you have. Plus there's Medieval Champion, and Glaives will fire a powerful explosion payload that stuns unshielded combatants. It's strong against Unstoppable, but additionally, Glaives are always overcharged when that modifier is active. But landing consecutive hits with the sword disrupts combatants, stunning them, delaying ability energy regeneration, and lowering combatant damage output, which is strong against Overload. But additionally, swords are always overcharged when the modifier is active. And very finally, there is Prismatic Transfer, and when we cast a super, each member of the fire team with a subclass damage type different than yours will gain a bonus to weapon damage. So some really interesting mods coming up in that artifact. Let us know what you think of them down below, and any you'll be looking out for when you start making builds in Lightfall. Finally here though, Bungie talk about Legend campaign, and they say with the goal of balancing challenge and survivability across all fire team sizes, legendary difficulty scales based on the size of your fire team, incoming damage, damage required to stagger an enemy, enemy health, and the amount of revives are a few of the things that can scale on legendary for each additional member of your fire team. In the Lightfall campaign, we reduced the health scaler on combatants to better balance solo and fire team play when compared to last year's legendary campaign. Enemies will still have more health overall, especially in larger fire teams, but this will help bring solo and fire team difficulty closer together. Additionally though, the damage required to stagger combatants is reduced during the Lightfall campaign. They go on to say though, make no mistake, the Shadow Legion and their new technology is extremely formidable, and we're not going to talk about Tormentors, so eyes up Guardian, because it won't be easy. So they're giving us a bit of a tip off of what to expect in that campaign. Probably pretty similar to what we saw with Witch Queen, but hopefully with better balancing for players in smaller fire teams or who choose to run it solo. A couple of final things from TWAB right here though, and starting February 23rd, right now pretty much, the Witch Queen Standard Edition is available to play for free, and that is up till February 26th. So if you haven't played Witch Queen and you fancy checking out that content for free, we're able to do so over the course of the weekend. And Bungie have confirmed any items you pick up over the weekend while it is free will continue to be available for players. So certainly if you haven't played Witch Queen, it's going to be worth jumping in to check it out. But finally, they also point out, once again, we are going to see that 24-hour downtime before Lightfall launches. So D2 will be brought offline at 9 AM PST on February 27th. Ongoing activities will end, players will be returned to the title screen, and preloading for Lightfall on all platforms will become available. But if you need any additional details about that, I will link the TWAB down below. The final thing we're going to mention right here, but Bungie posted a new video yesterday with some development insights for Strand. And so we get more juicy gameplay of Strand, a better look at some of the abilities, but also more detail on how Bungie actually developed it, with some interesting backstory into the origins of the subclass, but then also the animations, the sounds, and much more. So it's definitely worth checking out in full. But we also got a sneaky peek at a couple of activity things in there as well. And initially, possibly a mission right here for Lightfall, but we can see this is called Under Siege. There's an objective to find Shadow Legion keycards. The UI right there reminds me a little bit of Adventures back in the day, but of course it could be referring to a campaign mission or a side quest of some sort. And additionally, we also get a better look and confirmation of a new strike on Neomuna. So there's one that the Guardians right here are running as in Nightfall, where we're reactivating Neomuna's defenses. Obviously stands to reason that we get new strikes with a major expansion, but that confirmation of it right here is cool. And I'm going to leave you guys with some of the juicier bits from the video they posted about Strand yesterday, but it is linked in full down below if you want to check it out. For today though guys, as always, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. Also be sure to get subscribed, as I'm going to be keeping you guys up to date with everything related to the new content in the game. But otherwise, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.
Each of the supers kind of reflect that idea, weaving into needles, weaving it into a giant rope dart, weaving it into claws, revealing it as these green strands in the world. When you are in each of your super states, you have these strand elements that are on you that are connected from above. Things that you create are constantly revealing this world of strands around you.
Threaded Spike, the hunter's melee ability, will bounce between enemies until it can't find anymore, and then it will come back to me. If I press the melee button again, as it comes back to me, I will catch it, and that gives me melee energy for the next time I want to use it.
As a VFX artist, we came up with this idea of when it goes out, let's put a bunch of additional communication on it to make it look more dangerous, and when it comes back, we don't add that stuff, and it's simpler, and then it feels less dangerous. And then that's when we know that we did it right, when you're not even questioning it. But getting to that point is definitely a challenge. And each one of the strand abilities, I feel like, have these little twists in there.
We had this really cool swipe attack that was severing enemies, but it was hard to chase those enemies down. We need a long-range attack for the Titan that is going to enable us to get close with the melee attack and attack them, and Suspend was a natural choice for that.
One really cool thing we're introducing with Strand is the ability to suspend combatants. Combatants are lifted up into the air, they're suspended in these strand webs.
Their limbs are now like connected to these invisible strands and they are vulnerable. Then you can then start to set up combos on top of that, or even just, I need to take a breath moment.
That really gives you and then your fire team members an opportunity to kind of set up 1-2 punch kind of combos. Sometimes you can use it more as utility and provide support for your team. And so I think that's going to create like a lot of opportunities where Strand's going to be valuable no matter what.
Some wacky things have happened as we've developed Strands, interactions we didn't necessarily anticipate. When you pick up a tangle and you throw it, you can grapple to that tangle and you're sailing through the air after this tangle, which can then hit an enemy, blow them up, and then you just swoop in and follow up.
Designers will find these bugs that will come back and be like, oh, actually you can do this. And you're like, let's double down on that, you know? Let's make that bug a feature.
As players experiment and figure out all the weird things they can do, they're gonna get even more excited.
Oh yeah, this is cool. Like this is it.
Once it goes live, then it's like, all right, let's see where players take it, and that's actually really exciting.